My gender dysphoria has gotten really bad. I dress to conceal my body.
I want to be comfortable expressing myself.
We're going to give you all the tools you need to own your identity.
And you don't have to make up your mind about who you are, ever.
We want y'all to express your true self, inside and out.
Hi, I'm Lucas Silvera, and I'm one of the co-hosts from Shine True.
Hi, my name is Richie Shazam. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, and I'm an artist, model, photographer living in New York City, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of Shine True.
Before we talk about Shine True, I wanted to ask about reality television. I don't know if you might have watched the documentary Disclosure, which is about trans representation in television and cinema. And one of the main points the movie kind of makes is that the kind of canon for trans or non-binary people on screen has been reality TV, for better or for worse, or daytime television. And so when you kind of got the call or were sort of doing this show, what were you kind of hoping that maybe that this series would kind of add to this kind of body of work, so to speak?
Well, you know, the blessing of this show is that it's an all queer crew and cast, and all of our subjects are, you know, BIPOC, people of color, and it's really integral, giving us those position of power to tell our stories. And it's not sort of this scripted situation where there's a loss of authenticity and a loss of our ability to speak up for ourselves.
I try to share my story with my parents and my friends and my family, but it's hard to teach when you don't know.
You know, I think the beautiful sort of connecting bit about the show is that, you know, it's really about respecting our stories, and also this idea of queer family, which I think is, you know, something that's so important and that needs to be more tangible. It needs to be something that's more accessible. And I think that our show really champions that. Something that, you know, the normalized reality television doesn't necessarily possess.
One thing I definitely noticed in the show was, you know, in listening to these people and kind of talking to them, or the contestants, you're really kind of working against this idea that they are so concerned with what everyone else thinks about them. Mm-hmm. For better, I mean, obviously with good reason in many cases, but also just this idea that it's sort of like getting them to see themselves, I guess, how they want to be seen, or getting away from this idea of being shaped, or their decisions being shaped by other people's views. Is that fair to say? And maybe could you talk about how that, I don't know, resonates with you?
I think as a person who obviously, you know, transitioned at a later time in life because of not having access to either other folks who were trans or people to sort of guide me, not even the health, you know, system, the healthcare system was there to help me. That the one thing that I remember always feeling was I couldn't come forward, even if I wanted to. And it had a lot to do with not having access to community and not having access to folks who knew what it would be like to jump in there and do it and just be like, you know what, this seems really, really scary, but it's actually going to be okay. And I think when I spoke to these folks, the one thing that always seemed to be, and I think resonates probably with most trans people, is just that one step into yourself, because you actually feel like if you do it, you won't be loved anymore. And so I think that that's the piece in value that we need to have first in ourselves. And interestingly enough, it was through clothing that I first expressed who I was in my gender, and it was like a catalyst to me being able to find that comfort, because I came into the world expressing that part of myself, my masculinity, and how I see my own maleness, because I do fall on the binary, and that's part of my identity. But to see so many folks, especially in the non-binary world, be like, yeah, but this is something that people don't understand, and just to be like, you know what, people don't need to understand. All they need to do is love you and accept you, and you know, you have to take that risk, sometimes safely, of course, and just know that you're worth it. And let the people come to you instead of you like sort of transforming for them.
Richie, in terms of like finding stores or businesses or retailers that would sort of be open to kind of helping somebody who maybe is on the gender nonconforming and doesn't know how they want to dress, but they know maybe what they don't like. How hard is it to find, say, like a retailer, a store, even as a fashion stylist or working in fashion? I know at the high level of fashion that there's more awareness and people are kind of jumping on the genderless fashion and so forth. But day to day, for a regular person that's just kind of like going shopping, how hard is it to kind of find this kind of store that or business owner who might be open to helping you?
Absolutely. I think, well, to touch specifically about Shine True and our access to clothing stores, you know, we had incredible producers that really hunted in each city to find queer friendly, body positive, inclusive stores. And in each, we were also working in the middle of a pandemic. So a lot of businesses also were deeply affected by that. We're closing, especially smaller sort of mom and pop stores that exist in these cities. So that's really difficult. And we're also living in the digital era. So it's like, you know, we were on the road sourcing things from online entities, like, you know, purchasing things, because luckily online there are a lot of accessibility in gaining the silhouettes that we want. And yeah, I think for me, being a, you know, non-binary model, I'm very fortunate that I get to play with silhouettes. And I think that for, you know, our community, it's very important for us to constantly play with different silhouettes and really find what feels most comfortable, what makes us feel the best. And, you know, if that means that, you know, you need to go to your local Salvation Army, your local vintage shop, you know, those are things that I did growing up when I didn't have a lot of access. I was really finding myself in Salvation Armies and, you know, trying on all different things and really experimenting. You know, that's sort of the beauty of our identities, is that they're not fixed. We don't have to subscribe to looking a certain way. We can do whatever makes us feel the best. And, you know, I'm a glam girl through and through. So it's like, I'm very drawn to glamorous silhouettes. I want to look good. I want to feel good. And I want to project fantasy. You know, I want to like give the girls something to talk about. I want people to, you know, I want them to look at me and be like, wow, if Richie can do it, I can do it too.
Did you feel like you came out of the show with a different perspective, or did it reinforce kind of things you already felt?
I mean, for me, it was actually like, it was explosive as far as personal growth, because I learned so much of what it takes for certain people to be able to just move into something that to somebody seems so simple, but for them is such a huge step. And I learned a lot about courage, and it's something that I think trans people are asked to be a lot, which is you have to be strong, but to also understand what it is like to be strong is to also lean, right? And to see that these kids, you know, and some of them weren't kids, some of them were just young adults, but in my brain, because I'm a dad now, like as far as the trans community goes, I'm considered an elder, because, and that's the thing too, you're seeing these young folks with hope of getting to a new place. It's like what Richie was saying, we've never had the promise of a future, and to know that we are taking part in something that feels like not just a promise of a future for these people that we're working with, but that we're actually taking a step in educating people and bringing this to life. So for me, it just felt like getting closer to my community in a way that felt really, really safe. So it was a really, really amazing growth experience for me.
Yeah, to add on to Lucas's incredible response, I think that I'm definitely not the same person that I am before, you know, going on the road to work on the show. I think that, you know, we, you know, as trans, gender nonconforming, non-binary folk, we deal with a lot of our dysphoria. So like personally, like behind closed doors. You know, we have this analogy that normally it's, you know, when we're in our room with the music turned up and we're under the covers and no one can see us and we're just like crying to ourselves. And, you know, really understanding sensitivity and having patience and treating each of our incredible, powerful subjects with respect and, you know, letting them own their agency to like tell their story how they want to tell it. Because, you know, breaking away from this makeover show narrative that, you know, people love to put Shine True in this, you know, as a selling tool. But the reality is that no, it's not that. It's more than that. Clothing is just one part of how we tell our stories. So it's like, that's why it's imperative that, you know, when we speak, listen and listen to us and what we have to say. And if you don't want to hear it, then you don't have to hear it, just respect it. And that's something, because it's like, oh, people are like, Richie, you're so glamorous, you're so this, but it's like, no, I have an impactful bite. I have something to say. You know, I'm pretty to the eyes, but I also have a lot to say and I have a lot of wisdom. And that's for me in my own journey that I just felt that I've worked very tirelessly to build a platform, and I want to make my platform more tangible to people that look like me, you know, because there aren't a lot of us. So it's like, I want to be able to talk to people, and especially those in my community, and let them know that they too can feel powerful. Society just wants to let us live in this marginalization, you know, and I don't want to bask in marginalization. I want to break free from it.
Damn straight.
And we deserve more, you know? Are you putting us on the cover? What's up? Are we on the cover?
With that quote, yeah.
Better put us on the cover, Kevin, because I know you got some plugs. How y'all do it in Canada?